Hi, good evening, everyone. On behalf of St. Thomas University and Amscare Media, I would like to welcome you all to the MSM and STU Agent E-Summit Live Series for 2020. I'm Karishma Chaudhary, Manager Canada at Amscare Media. Well, I'm very happy to announce that STU and Canadian Higher Education Institution, in the partnership with Amscare Media, to establish its in-country presence and support its outreach and recruitment of international students from all over the world. We would love to do this launch event in our traditional way, where we could meet each other in person, but due to the current situation, we decided to do it virtually with the same excitement. Well, St. Thomas University is a primarily undergraduate university dedicated to excellence in liberal arts education. The Bachelor's of Arts is the heart of its academic community, with more than 30 programs offered in the humanities and social sciences. For more than 100 years, its small, supportive community has been bounded by a shared commitment to the liberal arts and social justice. STU, together with MSM, is happy to have you all here for an hour of ultimate knowledge-oriented session to help you boost your student recruitment practices. STU work closely with a very carefully selected and approved group of agent partners to achieve its goal of internationalization. Before we get to the exciting part, I would like to let you know that if you would be having any question related to STU, please do not hesitate to drop it in Q&A section in your control panel. And if you would be having any technical question, please drop in the chat box. We will be, dropping the important information about STU, like the important links in the chat box, so you can definitely get it from there. I know everyone is curious and interested to learn more about St. Thomas University, its program, its state-of-art facilities on campus, and its welcoming local community. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Ms. Camilla Vesquez, International Admission Counselor and Agent Advisor, and Kelly Moore, International Admission Counselor at STU. Camilla and Kelly, over to you.
Thanks so much, Karishma. Thank you so much for your introduction and you're welcome. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Like Karishma mentioned, my name is Camila and I'm an international admissions counselor here at St. Thomas University. And I'm joined here today by my colleague, Kaylee Moore, who's also an international admissions counselor here. So we're going to go over a St. Thomas presentation, give you a lot of information. So don't be scared to ask any questions in the Q&A box. But we will just get started now. So we will start with where we are located, which is always very important. St. Thomas University is located on the east coast of the country. As you can probably see in our map, we're a province that's located in the Atlantic Canadian region of Canada. So we are between Quebec and the province of Nova Scotia, as well as the state of Maine in the United States. And we do have a bridge that can lead us to the province of Prince Edward Island. So New Brunswick is quite well located. It's very easy for students to go around, get to know a little bit more of Canada, maybe even venture out into the US. And the province of New Brunswick is known for being Canada's only official bilingual province. So we speak French and English, and we have both Francophone, bilingual, and Anglophone cities. New Brunswick is also a really good place in terms of the quality of life that we offer. So we have a very high quality of life, but at an affordable cost. We have a lot of green areas, we have a lot of trees, really clean skies, very safe places. And it's a place that students can picture being their home for the years after graduation because of all of the immigration opportunities that we offer within the province of New Brunswick. So Kaylee and I both actually came to St. Thomas as international students from different places, and we both decided to make New Brunswick our home. So we went through that post-graduation work permit, applying for permanent residency, and we decided to stay here as well. We are located right in the capital city of New Brunswick, which is called Fredericton. Fredericton is a gorgeous city. It has around 85,000 people, so it's a smaller place. We have the St. John River that cuts the city in half, and we have the south side of the city where the university is, and the north side of the city where a lot of people live. We have businesses and everything of that sort. Fredericton is the ideal student city because even though it is the capital city of the province of New Brunswick, it also has 2 universities and 2 colleges, so it's a very young city. What that means for students is that they can get a high quality of life. They can be in a place where they have all of the businesses and the services that a bigger city would have, but with the price tag and comfort and charm of a college city. So we are very focused on the arts. There's a lot of theater, there's a lot of entertainment, we have music festivals, and it's a city where students can kind of come into their own when they move away from home for the first time and have that smooth transition into life in Canada.
Great. So hello, everyone. As Camilla mentioned, my name is Kaylee Moore, and the two of us run the International Recruitment and Admissions Office at St. Thomas. So I just want to give you a virtual welcome to our campus at St. Thomas. As Camilla mentioned, we're right in the capital city of New Brunswick, named Fredericton. And our campus actually sits on a hill, maybe about a 15-20 minute walk from the downtown, but very centrally located within the city. So our students are able to go anywhere from campus, and there's something different all around for them to explore. There's many living opportunities. And because we sit at the top of a hill, we actually have a really beautiful view looking back down into the downtown of the city with the river, and then the north side of the city, which Camilla mentioned is more rural. So there's beautiful foliage in the fall to be able to see the trees. And we see a lot of rainbows during rainstorms. So it's a really beautiful spot to be as a student. So our campus, we're about 2,000 students. So we're a small liberal arts university. I'm originally from the United States, where liberal arts education is very common. Many colleges and universities in the US are liberal arts oriented. But in Canada, we're actually the only exclusively liberal arts school. So that was a really big draw for me as an American student to come study here in Canada, specifically at St. Thomas. So although we're small, that's on purpose. So, we want to ensure that our students are in small class sizes and really able to absorb all the benefits of that small, rigorous academic environment. We do have students from more than 40 different countries on our campus, and 11% of our campus is international. So we're constantly growing in international, and we're really proud of the different diversity that we have at our small school. And as you can see, our alumni are often very happy that they chose St. Thomas, and Camilla and I, as alumni ourselves, are part of that 97%.
Yes, definitely. Like Kaylee mentioned, St. Thomas is a very specialized university, and we're actually the only public Canadian university that exclusively focuses on liberal arts studies. Both Kaylee and I were attracted to the idea of the liberal arts, and that's part of the reason why we chose St. Thomas. And that is the core of our academic offering and the style of education that we offer. So with the liberal arts is a style of education that started all the way back in ancient Greece. And the idea was to give students more than just a transfer of knowledge. At St. Thomas, we want students to do more than just memorizing. We don't want students to memorize a bunch of facts or a bunch of data for an exam or an assignment and then forget about them later because they didn't really get in touch with the material that they were learning. We want students to develop the skills that will allow them to be successful in a variety of different fields. So we want them to develop their critical thinking skills, their analytical thinking skills, their ability to communicate effectively, to incorporate their perspective and that of others into their arguments. We want them to be team leaders, but also work collaboratively, and in this way become global thinkers who will be successful in a variety of different careers anywhere that they decide to go into the world. So that is the type of education that we give students. And the beauty of the liberal arts is that students are able to graduate with more than just one set of skills. They'll have different tools that will allow them to market their skills in different careers. And it will be very, they'll have the flexible skills to have, or the transferable skills to have that flexibility when it comes to the job searching as well. Now, in order to do this, we do narrow down the programs that we offer. So we specialize in two types of programs within our Bachelor of Arts degree, which is our undergraduate 4-year degree that is the core of our academic offering. So we have humanities, programs in the humanities, and programs in the social sciences. Some of our most popular programs are things like criminology and criminal justice, psychology, economics, international relations, anything that relates to politics, anything that relates to law or pre-law, like human rights or law, politics, and society, philosophy, communications, journalism, and interdisciplinary studies. So around 60% of our students double major. So within the 4 years, they're able to focus on more than one area of study. And an interdisciplinary approach to learning is part of the liberal arts style of education. So that's something that we really encourage and that a lot of our students are able to pursue. In addition to our offerings within the Bachelor of Arts degree, which is our undergraduate degree, we do have 2 additional programs. We have a Bachelor of Social Work for students who want to work in the social work field. They still have to apply through the Bachelor of Arts degree, and then their second year, they're able to apply for the Bachelor of Social Work, and in 4 years, they would graduate with the Bachelor of Social Work degree. If you have students who are looking for a career in education, or perhaps they already finished university and they would like to become teachers, we do have an 11-month post-degree Bachelor of Education program. This is open for students who have already obtained an undergraduate degree. It's a very competitive program, but it is an 11-month teaching certification program. So that is something that students can pursue if they would like to become teachers. Now here we're going to focus a little bit more on the 4-year Bachelor of Arts degree and the structure, but if you have any questions about these 2 other degrees, we can answer those as well. Now, the way that that degree works, the Bachelor of Arts, like I mentioned, we do the Bachelor of Arts over 4 years. So in the first year, students are able to take courses that they find interesting, and they don't have to necessarily know what it is that they want to study. When I came to university, there were a lot of things I wanted to do. I wanted to do journalism, I wanted to do political science, history, literature, philosophy, and I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to do my first year. So the beauty of this system is that in your first year, you take introductory courses that allow you to get to know the program that you want to take a little bit more. You're able to take 5 classes. So students typically will take 5 different introductory courses in their first semester and in their second semester. So they can discover the topics and issues that interest them the most. In their second year, they can do a more focused selection, and they can actually narrow down and declare their major or majors if they want to do more than one thing. If they would like to consider maybe an honors concentration, if they're looking for law school or grad school, that's something that they can discuss in their second and their third year. And this is also when they can start taking advantage of our internships and experiential learning opportunities that we will touch on a little bit later on in our presentation. In 4th year, students do more advanced coursework. They can take in-depth seminar courses, maybe defend their thesis, and write their big projects and assignments. And this is the time when they would be applying for grad school or law school or for different employment opportunities. If a student comes into the university knowing that they want to study, for example, international relations, and that's what they declare on their major, they are not married to that particular program option. They apply to the entire university as a whole, and they actually only declare their major during their second year.
All right. So, one of the ways that we achieve this style of interdisciplinary learning is through our small class sizes. So, this photo that you're seeing right now is a picture of our largest class on campus. So, our students are always in class sizes with no more than 60 students throughout their entire degree. The average class size in the first year is actually around 27. So, this allows our students to get to know their professors and vice versa. Professors know, that their students are international. They know what their goals are, if they want to stay in Canada, or maybe they want to take their degree globally. So this really benefits the students in terms of having that professor in the classroom teaching for each student individually, rather than just going through a set textbook and everyone gets the same information. So this was something I really enjoyed as a journalism student at St. Thomas. My professors were always very clear to, if they were talking about, Canadian journalism rights and laws, they would be sure to say, oh, Kaylee, by the way, like if you go back home to the United States, this law is different for journalists. So make sure that you write that down. So I'll never forget those opportunities. And that happened every single time I went to class. They really taught for all the students in their room. So extremely valuable when you're paying all this money for education and for your degree to have it customized for you. Now, another large component of how we run our classes and our education structure at St. Thomas is through experiential learning. And this is very common across Canadian universities. Many Canadian education highly values the experiential learning component to students' education. And at St. Thomas, one of the benefits of us being small is our students have all the options available to them, but then they also can propose new options if there was something that they wanted to further develop their resume in. So this allows our students to take what they're learning in the classroom and apply it outside of the classroom through special projects like journalism, working up at the CBC Studios, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. In Canada, we actually run all of our broadcast courses there. So students are using the professional equipment and working with real journalists, producers, directors. The third picture, you'll see the students out in the forest. Those are forensic anthropology students, and they're actually out looking and prodding the earth for a buried body. So our students get to work with police, and they learn how to use all the new technology in terms of tracking and looking for evidence or missing people. So our students participate in a variety of different options. I'll tell you about a couple very unique options that are offered on our campus. One of them is our partnership with Harvard's Business School. So this is really popular, especially among our international students who are studying economics, where we have a business minor, or if students are interested in international relations or communications. This allows students to take an online program called CORE. It's a Credential of Readiness in Business. And there's 4 different cohorts throughout the year. So if they want to take it for one semester during the academic year, they can, or they can choose to do it over the summer. So they can spread out their learning throughout the year. And students get a intense boot camp from Harvard on how to be successful in the business world. So they're learning courses like corporate communications, business analytics, and business management. But it does change every year depending on what is most important for students who want to go on to business. So one thing we know is St. Thomas, we actually were the first partner in Canada of the Harvard HBX Core program. And still to this day, there's only 2 partners in Canada that students are able to actually get for credit certificate learning through Harvard. So this is a great opportunity for your students to take advantage of if they come to St. Thomas. Another area that we're extremely proud of and is very well known for our campus is our Moot Court program. Now, Moot Court, it is a simulated Supreme Court. So it's a great opportunity for students who want to become lawyers, politicians. Maybe they want to work for the United Nations or become ambassadors to their countries, or diplomats. This is a fantastic training opportunity and will really put them ahead of other applicants should they choose to apply to graduate programs. Now, through our moot court, we offer 3 different main streams of it. So the first stream you'll see on the left is the Nelson Mandela World Human Rights Moot Court Competition. This is part of our International Law Society. So students are able to study international law. It's offered more as a club, and the competition that they aim to compete in every year is the World Championship Competition, which is hosted at the United Nations in Geneva. And the first year our students ever qualified was in 2017. We sent 2 students as undergraduates. They were the world's only undergraduate team to qualify for the competition. They had to compete with Oxford Law students, Yale Law students, and they ended up winning the entire thing. So this is something that our students exceed extremely well in, and it really does speak to the quality of education that they are receiving within the liberal arts. And then our main moot court component is the American Moot Court Association, where our students do compete across North America. Currently, we're ranked the number 2 team in North America and ranked first in the writing category. And then we also compete in the Osgood Cup, which is the Canadian Cup. And we received an invite to compete in space law competitions as well, which are hosted in Washington, D.C. So there are so many opportunities for your future lawyers out there, or any student wanting to really hone their public speaking and debate skills. Another opportunity for students to further their experiential learning is through our Office of Internships. So students are able to get involved in a variety of different internships in and around our city. These are paid internships or 4-credit internships. They're matched by the student's program of study, and they run year-round. So depending on when it's most suitable for the student, they're able to do their internship with another business. And again, this is just a little more information on those internships. One of the major benefits of the internship program that we offer is the networking opportunity. So our students are really able to delve into the mentorship opportunities, meet Canadian and international business leaders and entrepreneurs, and work directly with them in a field that most interests their career prospects. Now, I think I saw in the Q&A someone did ask about international exchanges, so here you go. We do offer opportunities for our students to further study around the globe, and often it's our international students who get that travel bug and want to continue on for an exchange. So we do offer semester-long or year-long exchanges in many different places around the world, like France, Spain, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Malta, Peru, Ecuador. So there's so many opportunities that students can take advantage of. In addition, we offer short-term travel study opportunities. So these are depending on a class. So if a student takes Intro to Italian, they're then invited to go to Italy for 3 weeks in the summer after the school year ends. And they go with their professor and their other classmates, and they get credit for their study, but they get to use that country as their textbook.
Excellent. Thank you, Kaylee. And something else to add to the exchange conversation is that our students can only go on exchange to universities that we're already currently partnered with. And it's the same for students coming in to St. Thomas. They can only access this type of exchange if they're attending a university that we're partnered with at the moment. And we are always increasing our exchange partners around the world, so students do have a lot of opportunities for that. Perfect. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about our student life, which again is one of the reasons why both Kaylee and I loved studying here. And fun fact, Kaylee and I both have siblings who graduated from St. Thomas as well. So my brother came to study at St. Thomas 2 years after I started, and Kaylee's sister started studying at St. Thomas 4 years, I believe, like after Kaylee had graduated, 5 years. But it's just a testament to how much we enjoyed our student experience that we thought it was good enough to bring our family members here as well. So at St. Thomas, we have a very vibrant and dynamic student community. It starts off with our welcome week, which is our orientation, which typically takes place in September. We give a lot of services for international students to make sure that their transition to life in Canada is a good one and it's smooth, and they don't encounter any issues that might make it unnecessarily difficult. So we will start with picking them up at the airport. A lot of times it's Kaylee and I who go pick them up, we greet them. They typically are partnered with an upper year international student, so they have their first friend coming into university, and that's a person that can also go pick them up at the airport. And then we start with our international orientation, which is exclusively for international students, which typically happens a day or two before our welcome week, which is our university-wide orientation. During Welcome Week, students are able to connect within their residences, with their housemates. They're able to connect with other people in the university. They engage in social and academic activities, and they get to know a little bit about campus and the city as well. Now, a big part of our campus community is our residence community, and we have a very dynamic residence community with different lifestyles and different ways for students to connect with others. So all of our residences are located directly on campus, which makes it really accessible for students. They don't have to worry about have to travel too long to get to class or to get to the cafeteria. And when they're getting used to their first winter, this is a really great advantage as well. The size of our campus makes it a little bit less intimidating. So in our 3 residences, we have Holy Cross House, which is our smallest residence, and this is an all-female residence. And then we have Harrington and Vania, which are quite big houses that are co-ed, and then they also have gender-neutral housing available as well. All of our residences offer single and double rooms. Single rooms are a little bit more in demand, and assignments do come on a first come, first serve basis. So we do encourage students to apply sooner rather than later, because the sooner that they submit their application, the sooner they will be considered for their preferred assignment. And all of our residences have shared kitchens, shared study spaces, hanging out spaces, laundry rooms, and access to our meal hall. Our meal hall operates in an all-you-care-to-eat meal plan style. So a student will purchase a meal plan that offers them a specific amount of meals per week, like 19 meals or an unlimited amount. And then once they come in, they swipe their card and that counts as a meal. And once they're inside the cafeteria, they're able to eat anything they want. This really is a great setup for students. It takes away a little bit of the pressure of knowing exactly how much they have remaining on their meal card before making a purchase. They can just go in and eat as they please. And we do offer Canadian and international options. We always have vegetarian and vegan options, as well as gluten-free, and we can definitely cater to different dietary requirements like halal or anything of that kind. So the cafeteria will work with students in this sense, so it's very personalized as well. Now, at St. Thomas, we really pride ourselves on the support and services that we offer students. We always say at St. Thomas, you're more than just a student number. People will actually know who you are and they want to help you succeed, and they will give you all the services that you need in order to have this smooth transition into life in Canada and university. So we say you're on your own, you're being independent, but you're not alone. You're studying within a community. So we'll offer different types of services for students so that they can make the most out of their time at St. Thomas. If a student gets sick, we have a clinic right on campus. We have a campus pharmacy that they can take advantage of. We have a mental health coordinator and a therapist, like a learning strategist. They're dealing with different things that they might need counseling services for. If a student is a little bit unsure academically about like their papers or anything like that, we do have peer tutoring, free peer tutoring for students, and the writing center. We have academic advisors. We even bring therapy dogs during exam time, as you can see from the picture on the left of Rosie, the beautiful Mount Bernese dog. So we are the kind of space where students can get this really high academic education, but in a place where they can be their own person, and they can study within a community. Because of this, and because we are so specialized, we do attract a lot of students who are very involved in extracurricular activities, which makes our campus life quite exciting. There's always something to do. So there are many different ways for students to get involved. And the more that students get involved, the better chances they have at networking, the better employment chances they have after, because they have a bigger network of people that they know, and they have developed their skills, not just the academic ones, but the ones that they need outside of the classroom as well. So the first group that they would immediately be a part of is STUISA, which is our International Student Association. That's the group that they would be part of from the beginning. And they are able to pursue different leadership roles within STUISA as well. If this is something that they would be interested in. We have ambassadors for different continents of the world. There's the public relations officers, the president. They organize different activities. So this is a really good place for them to get started, meeting people and participating in campus activities as well. We have a lot of clubs and societies. Typically at the beginning of the year, we start with our clubs and societies fair. So students are able to go talk to current students who are participating in these different activities and get to know a little bit about their clubs and whether they would like to participate or not. So these are some options that we have. The Students' Union is a great opportunity for students who want to get involved in student politics or advocate for their fellow students or participate in campus activities in a different way. I, for example, was very involved with my Students' Union when I was a student. I was Welcome Week chair for orientation. I was a grad class president. So it's a really great place for students to develop different skills and get a lot of professional development as well. We have the Aquinian, which is our campus newspaper, which Kaylee was involved in as a journalism major. So this is a great place for students to build their portfolio if they would like a career in communications or journalism or anything like that. We have a lot of clubs and societies that center around social justice issues and volunteering, like our Global Brigades, which is a humanitarian group that goes around the world providing different aid, or Best Buddies. We're also really big into theater. So those are all things that students can get involved in. And it's a little bit part of our community as well. So for theater, we have 3 different groups. I always tell students, even if they're not interested in directly participating in theater, the great thing about being in a university with so many actors and artists is that you do get to see a lot of plays. There's a lot of music, there's a lot of exhibits, so there's a lot of stuff going on in terms of the student life.
All right. And so lastly, about student life would include athletics. So we do have 7 varsity athletic teams. In Canada, something important to note is that students are students first and then athletes second. So academics are extremely important. But we do have some really fantastic teams among our programs. So on the next slide, you'll see the different sports that we offer our students. And our women's hockey team, for example, they are national championship winners from last year. So a really fun opportunity for our international students to get to go to Canadian hockey games. We also have our fitness center on campus, which students can access for free. They just leave their student ID and then pick it up when they're at the desk when they leave. And so they're able to stay healthy and active. There's a little basketball court in there, a squash court, and many different exercise machines. So students can, kind of choose an exercise that works best for them. And then we also have different classes like yoga or dance classes or pop-in, like drop-in sessions that happen. So students are able to take advantage of those to the fitness center, or they could play some of our intramural sports if they're looking for a less competitive team to join and they really just want to play for fun. Now, Camila told you a little bit about STUISA, so St. Thomas University International Students Association. So we just want to further emphasize that your students would all be part of this organization from the first day they arrive. And we do on our campus have this wall of flags, which you can see in the image. And this is a living wall. So every year in November during International Education Week, when we celebrate all the international students across the nation, we change out our flags. So this flag is a constant living representation of the different countries that are represented among our students. So it's a really beautiful thing. Our students love it. It means a lot to them. Because of our diversity, we do get many students who, come from really small countries. And so they're so excited when they see their flag, like landing in Canada. And it's just that little piece of home. So we do a lot to celebrate our international students, and both Camille and I, as we mentioned, were international students when we were at St. Thomas. So we can both tell you that there's so many opportunities for your students to celebrate their culture. Canada is a very welcoming, safe place for international students to come to. They definitely are never asked to check their culture at the door. We want them to bring it and celebrate it here, especially on our campus. So these are some of the activities that our students host throughout the year, whether it's the annual multicultural fair, which is our favorite because there's lots of food and a fashion show and talent show and music and singing and dancing. It's so much fun. But we also have our international buddy program. We do coffee houses, additional food festivals, and we also have international opportunity fairs where students can learn more about studying abroad, but also sessions on immigrating to Canada or completing their taxes or how to get a part-time job in the country or open a bank account. So we make sure that students are well taken care of and supported. Now, after graduation, we talked about a little bit, the value of a liberal arts degree and that it affords you the opportunity to continue on to any career that you'd really like for the most part. So our students have these transferable skills that really allow them to continue on to graduate schools if they want to further their education, or they can jump right into the workforce. And a large percentage of our students, I think it's almost 70%, do continue on to do a master's degree or further professional training. A liberal arts student tends to be a lifelong learner. So if you have students who are really passionate about learning and interested in a lot of different topics and fields and areas of study, then a liberal arts degree is going to be perfect for them and they're going to really excel. The liberal arts makes you think critically about the world and solve problems. So we don't teach students what to think. We teach them how to think and how to be independent learners. And so they can navigate the job market however it looks when they're graduating, not as it looks today. So our alumni are all over the world. They span the globe doing a variety of different careers. Just even among my group of friends that I graduated with only a few years ago, they are working in business, they're working in IT, they're speech writers for politicians. Some of them are politicians now. They're journalists, they're teachers, social workers, lawyers, and so many of them have gone on to really successful careers and been able to enter the workforce and get promoted quickly because they have those people skills that liberal arts graduates are best known for.
Yes, and just to add to what Kaylee said, because I know a lot of students are interested in business, and Kaylee and I do travel around the world meeting students. I actually traveled to India specifically to meet with students. So we do know that a lot of students are interested in business. And something that we like to mention is that a liberal arts student is a great business student without necessarily taking a Bachelor of Business Administration. So students can take any of our programs. They could take economics with business, they could take political science, history, journalism, and they will have these in-demand skills that will allow them to be successful in many business ventures. So the example that I always like to talk about is my brother. He graduated 2 years after me. He's a political science honors student, never took one business course in his entire life. About a week after he graduated, he got a job with a multinational corporation that does business to business sales. And in 3-4 years, he has climbed up the ladder. He works in an international team where he manages accounts for clients such as Virgin Mobile and Toyota. These are hundreds, thousands of dollars accounts. And he's the only non-business grad in his team. And this is not unique to him. This is an experience that a lot of our graduates have because they do get the type of education that makes them very marketable and very employable in these fields. So if you have students who want a career in business, but perhaps they're multifaceted, they have different learning styles, and they have different academic interests, then this is something that they can pursue as well through a liberal arts style of education. Perfect. I know that in the Q&A, we're getting a lot of questions about the admission requirements and the application process. So we are at this point of the presentation. So we'll just get right into it. We have 2 general intakes. Our main intake is our intake in September. That's the beginning of our academic year. Students come in the fall. We have our university-wide welcome week. And that's the beginning of the fall semester, which is our first semester. So our semester goes from September to December, that's the fall, and from January to April, that's our winter semester, and that is our academic year. The general intake, as I mentioned, is the fall one, but students can also apply for the January intake if they are interested in doing that as well. So they have 2 different options for starting their classes. To be considered, students have to submit an application, which you would do with MSM. And I know Niraj is leaving the contact information in the chat, so definitely send them an email if you're interested in, if you have students and you're interested in submitting an application. Students would typically complete an application. They have to pay the 55 Canadian dollar application fee. And then depending on their academic background and where they're from, the admission requirements do change slightly. Say you have a student submitting an application straight out of class 12, if they're in India, for example, we would need their class 10 results and their class 12, their high school transcripts, and depending on what board exams they're completing, we would require a proof of English language proficiency. So the tests that we accept are IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, CALE, and Cambridge. So these are all of the ones that we take. And generally, we also require a letter of application in which a student lets us know why they want to study at STU and what they have been doing since they graduated. This is especially required if somebody has a gap in their studies between graduation and them wanting to apply for university. If you have a student who's currently in university who would like to apply as a transfer student, then we would need their university transcripts. And all of these things will vary depending on the academic background of the student. So that is something that you can talk about with us, or you can ask Niraj as well. Now, for our English language proficiency, we have 2 different streams. So students can either apply with regular admission, which means they meet our academic requirements and our English requirements, or they can apply for admission with an ESL condition, which means they meet our academic requirements and they're in the range that for the English requirements where we can actually help them with English as a second language classes. So our regular requirements, say for IELTS, is a 6.5, for TOEFL is an 89, for Duolingo is a 105. But if you have students, for example, with TOEFL who are between a 5 and a 6.5, who also meet our regular academic requirements, they might be eligible for admission with an ESL condition. What this means is that once they come to university, they take a test and they're placed in different English as a second language classes. And they take these classes alongside their regular university classes until they no longer need the English support. The great thing about this type of program is that they gain academic credit for the classes. They don't have to pay extra and they can still graduate in 4 years. So this is something that they can do during their studies, and it does give them a little bit of flexibility. Now, if a student scores below the minimum required for ESL, then they would not be eligible for admission. And it's also good to point out that students still need to meet the regular academic admission requirements. This is only for the English requirement and only for the Bachelor of Arts program. Students applying for the post-degree Bachelor of Education program must meet the regular English requirements, 6.5 in IELTS, 89 in TOEFL, or 105 in Duolingo. If you would like to see more specific admission requirements for different countries, you're welcome to visit stu.ca/international, or you're able to email global admissions at stu.ca or india@stu.ca, and you will receive more information as well. Now, entrance scholarships, which I know we're getting a lot of questions about these as well. So first, I'm going to say our costs are approximately 28,000 Canadian dollars per year if we include international tuition, housing, food, and compulsory fees, which includes a bus pass, includes our students' union fee, and international health insurance as well. If you have students who are applying from high school, so from class 12, they have not completed university, they are eligible to apply for our scholarships, which are merit-based, and our bursaries, which are financial need-based. So students are able to do this if they are either still in high school or have recently graduated and haven't pursued post-secondary studies, and they're applying for the Bachelor of Arts degree. The Bachelor of Education program does not have scholarships, but the Bachelor of Arts does have a strong scholarship program for high school students. And this is for all international students, so not just students from a particular country. So students are able to apply for scholarships and bursaries once they are accepted. And this is generally for the September application, which is where we have most of our awards available. So once they get accepted, they have until March 1st, typically, to submit a scholarship application. Scholarships are merit-based awards, and they are based on academic performance and extracurricular involvement. So students typically need an equivalent to an A or higher to apply. And awards range from $1,000 awards all the way to one full tuition and housing scholarship. So there's quite a bit of range. Typically for students, for example, graduating from class 12 in a CBSE or anything like that, we would start considering them for the smaller awards at around a 75% average. And the higher the average they go, the more chances they can have to get a more comprehensive scholarship. The great thing is students submit one application and we can consider them for all awards, so they don't have to be submitting different application forms to different scholarships. Now, we also offer entrance bursaries, which are much smaller awards, but they only consider financial need. So students are able to apply for both scholarships, merit, and bursaries need at the same time. Bursaries are awards that range between $500 and $5,000 per year. Again, these are for awards for students entering university for the first time, and students submit one application and we'll consider them for everything. So we'll be able to perhaps combine awards if we think the student does qualify for both. Now, for anyone who is interested in participating in a virtual campus tour, we do give tours for agents. These are a shorter version of our virtual tours. So if you have students who want to get to know the university, we typically do a 1.5 to 2 hour virtual tour, which is led by our current students. And it's a great opportunity for them to become familiarized with our campus. We have a shortened version of this tour for agents. So it is still led by current students. You're able to take a look at what the university looks like and learn a little bit more about St. Thomas. You're welcome to email me if you'd like to schedule a tour, or you can email Global Admissions directly, and this is something that we can do as well. Perfect. So we are nearing the end of our presentation. Here are all our social media accounts, so you can learn a little bit more about St. Thomas. But other than that, I hope this presentation was useful, it was helpful, it gave you some information about St. Thomas, and we'd be happy to answer any remaining questions you have at this time.
Right.
Thank you, Kamala and Kelly. It was a wonderful presentation, I must mention, and a very detailed one where you have informed about each and everything, each and every from small to every big topic. And I believe after this, agents would be having very few questions. So let's start with the questions. Kamala, what would be the turnaround time for the offer letter?
So typically we can give, it takes us like 1 to 2 weeks. So I would say, yeah, 1 to 2 weeks to get an admission decision once we have a complete application with all documents.
Right. Moving towards the next question. Do we provide any kind of conditional offer letter on the basis of pending final results and IELTS?
So we can provide conditional offers. Our conditional offer is based on high school rather than English. So if a student is currently in school and say they're taking class 12 this year, if they get accepted, everything would be conditional to them finishing the way that we think they're going to finish based on their class 10 and maybe their pre-board marks later on in January. But if a student doesn't have IELTS, we don't give or any of the English tests that we accept, we don't give conditional offers without IELTS. Now, for a student completing CBSE, we actually do not require IELTS provided that they have a 70% or more in their English. So that is an exemption. I know they still need it for the visa, but that at least gives them a little bit more time if they would like to do their application sooner, because we do recognize CBSE as an English instruction medium.
Right. Thank you so much. Moving towards the next question, for the B.Ed program, here in India, we are having the bachelor's of 3 years. So would those students be eligible to apply for this program, or they need to have a 4-year bachelor's degree only?
So typically the 4-year requirement is because the Ministry of Education requires 120 credit hours for a teacher to be certified. So what we can do with students who have completed 3-year undergraduate programs is we would require a WES assessment, which they would still need for the application anyway. If we determine, and then this is something that they send to us, and then we send it over to the Department of Education. If they determine that they have enough credit hours, the student is welcome to apply. Otherwise, what they can do is apply as a transfer student to the Bachelor of Arts program. The best case scenario, they might get 2 years worth of credit. So they would have to complete 2 more years, graduate with a St. Thomas degree, and then they could apply for the Bachelor of Education. And then if they're thinking of staying in Canada, this would also give them a little bit more time on their post-graduation work permit as well.
Right. And Kamala, would the master students will be able to apply for B.Ed program directly, because those students who have done 3 years of bachelor's and then
year
plus 1 or 2 years of masters?
Yes, typically there's no issue with that. They would just still need the WES assessment for both of their degrees.
Right. Thank you so much. Now, moving forward to the next question. What is any quarantine plan currently STU is providing to their students, upcoming students, I must mention?
Yeah, so in terms of a decision for the 2021-2022 school year beginning next September, which is what we're taking applications for now, we haven't released a decision yet on if that academic year is going to be remote or it's going to be in person. So we are just following public health guidelines. Canada has said that until 75% of the population is vaccinated, they're going to keep travel restrictions active. So they're projecting that percentage of the population won't receive the vaccinations until about this time next year. So we do have to just sort of go with, however the pandemic is going and the guidelines from public health. In terms of students that for this school year, because everything was virtual and offered online, we have some students that are starting with us in January for the second semester intake. They do have to quarantine for 14 days. So any international student with a valid study permit is able to travel to Canada, even with the travel restrictions for non-essential travel. So they are able to come, and we have them arrive within a certain period of days if they're going to be living in a dormitory on campus. And we get them straight to the dorm. They're there for their 14 days. We have meals delivered to the student. Someone comes and changes their trash, like they put their trash outside the door, and they can do a cycle of laundry as well. So we do make sure that they have everything they need. And we also run a lot of online like fun events and socializing, so they're not just by themselves throughout that time. So if that needs to be the case next year, then we'll have that programming in place again.
Right. Thank you, Kelly. The another question is about the gap in the education. How many years of gap is acceptable, and how many backlogs are acceptable?
So we don't have a specific cap on how many years are acceptable. Canada is quite open for, like, there's no discrimination against the age in which you are applying to university. We will base our decision based on the academics. So if a student does have a really big gap in terms of when they graduated high school and when they decided to go to university, what we would need is a letter of application, which is well written and which explains what they have been doing and why they want to go back to university now. So it's not just about why they want to come to St. Thomas, but why the change of heart, why go back to university now. And this is something as well that they would need to provide for their visa application, which is what sometimes where the gap becomes a little bit more important rather than in the actual application process.
Right.
Yeah.
And another question was about the acceptance of the backlogs. Is there any kind of particular, minimum kind of maximum backlogs which are set by SGU that will be acceptable?
I'm actually not quite sure what a backlog is, if you would be able to
Something
clarify.
like if student is not able to clear any particular, program in a course, and then they reappear for it in the next semesters. So here in India, this usually happen if the student get flunk in one subject in one semester, then he have to reapply for that particular, or that particular program. Yeah.
Yeah, so if a student did say like their exams and then they are reappearing for something, we would consider the second time that they take the test. It all really depends on when in the application process this is happening. So if we need the grades that they currently have to assess them, then we might go with those rather than keep accepting the other ones. But that sounds like something that we would assess on an individual basis, depending on the student. And in the application, there is a section where students can explain anything that might be weird or bizarre or unique about their situation. So we do encourage them to either put that in there or in their statement of purpose.
Right. But I would just like to add here that when the student is applying at STU at that particular time, he must be clear with all the backlogs. Then we would be definitely able to accept the application for further processing. Right. So now moving to the next question, I believe you might have, included this particular part in the presentation, but still asking regarding the internship. Would those internship will be paid or unpaid?
Yeah, the internships, we have a combination. So most of them through the internship office are paid, which is great. If an internship is not paid, the student gets credit for it. So they get like 3 credit hours, which is equivalent to taking one university level course. So in a sense, that's a course that they don't have to pay for in the future. So yeah, so all of them, they either get 4 credit or they are paid if it's through our Office of Experiential Learning and Internships. And they can do up to 2 of those formal internships over their 4 years. Additionally, depending on a student's program of study, like the communications department, economics, environment and society, those all have required internships in the graduating year as well. So there may be additional internship opportunities depending on what the student is studying too.
Right, thank you, Kelly. Moving forward to the next question. I know it's not it's kind of question where you can give exact, information, but if you would like to say something about it, the agent is asking about the visa success ratio for STU with respect to Indian students for the past, students who have applied at STU. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have a specific ratio. We don't have it for any, it's not something that we track specifically for any country really. But generally, St. Thomas students, international students don't have issues when it comes to visas. We do have a smaller amount of Indian students at the moment. This is partly why we're doing this and trying to internationalize a little bit more and get more Indian students. But so far, the students that we do have had no issues, and a lot of them do use SDS as well. And I think it's an 80% acceptance rate to Canada in general for Indian students applying through SDS. So if a student has their IELTS and their grades and they're able to apply through this stream, I don't think they're going to have any issues. But generally, with our university, there hasn't been anything so far.
Right, Camilla. Moving forward to the next question, and the agent is asking if the student would be having 95 percentage as per, I believe he's talking about an Indian student.
Mhm.
Do you think that he would be able to get full scholarship for an year?
So two things with this. One, 95% is a grade, especially from like CBSE or any of the Indian boards, is a great percentage to have for scholarships. So that student would be in a good position to be considered for scholarships and definitely to be considered for our major scholarships. We only have one full tuition and housing scholarship. So it is the most competitive scholarship. So we're looking at grades, we're looking at extracurricular involvement, leadership, letters of reference. So that student has to be an insanely well-rounded student. We also have different percentage scholarships, like 50% of tuition or different things of that kind. So we still have major scholarships in addition to the full tuition and housing scholarship. But that is the most competitive one. So just having good grades doesn't guarantee that they will get it. They have to be a well-rounded student and they have to be the top ranking international student that year to receive that award.
Right. So while putting up the application for the scholarship, they need to, showcase all of their talent, whatever they are
Exactly.
excelled in. That's
Yes.
good to know. Okay.
Mm.
So again, we have got a question. Is there any foundation year option for those students graduating from 11-year high school system, like for Latin America students?
Yes, so it depends on the Latin American country. We don't have a foundation year, but there are different ways that we can consider those students. So if a student graduates from Colombia, for example, we consider the grade 11 as the grade 12. So they don't need to submit like study or do an additional year. Students from countries like, for example, Honduras or Peru, where they graduate with the missing the grade 12 year, we do consider applications for students who are very strong academically. So if you have students who have really strong academic merit and strong English scores, we can still consider them on an exceptional basis. And that is something that we can chat about as well. But definitely we would welcome those applications and it would just depend on the strength of the student academically.
Right. Thank you, Kamala. Moving forward to the next question, agent wants to know about the postgraduate work permit after completion of the program and the year of postgraduate work permit student would be getting.
Yeah, so if a student graduates from the Bachelor of Arts degree, which is 4 years, typically they can get a 3-year post-graduation work permit. 3 years is the cap, regardless of if they're in Canada for 7 years or like I did my undergraduate plus my master. So I had 7 years and I still got a 3-year work permit because that is the maximum that you can get. So anyone graduating from the Bachelor of Arts would qualify for the 3 years. If they graduate from the Bachelor of Education, which is a year-long program, they would most likely get a year. Ultimately, it is at the discretion of the visa officer who is analyzing their application, but all of our programs do qualify for the post-graduation work permit, and 3 years is the maximum.
Right, Kamala. Kamala, the next question is about these. If you would like to say something about the settlement opportunities in New Brunswick and how the uh, for how many years like student need to work to apply for their PR? If you would like to say something on this.
Sure, I'll jump in a little bit and then Camila can answer. We both have permanent residency here in New Brunswick, and we went through different paths to get it. So typically students need at least 1 year of full-time work experience in Canada to then apply for their permanent residency. So we both had our postgraduate work permits after about a year. I think we waited like a year and a half just to like make sure. And we both started the application for PR. There is through the Express Entry a Canadian experience class, which allows former international students or those who have experience in Canada, whether studying or working, to apply through that route. And then they are able to go through the Express Entry. Camila did provincial nominee program, which is an opportunity to be nominated by the province. So it gives you an additional large number of points towards your application. So there's some different options to do it. There's also been recent news come out about some changes in immigration for international students that will potentially allow them to apply for permanent residency while they are still a student. However, they still will require that 1 year of full-time work experience in Canada, which if a student's on an international study permit, which is what they would be on, they have caps on that, and they only allow you to work part-time during a year. So this might mean that the student needs to work part-time for 2 years to have the equivalent of 1 full year of work experience in Canada to then apply for PR. So that is a recent and evolving change that we have very little information on. We just got an email the other day. But that's something to watch and keep an eye out, because that might be a great benefit for international students moving forward. Camila, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, just to what Kaylee said, that particular development is specific to New Brunswick. So that is something that students studying at a New Brunswick institution will be able to do. And Kaylee is correct. Students cannot work full-time during the academic year, but if a student works part-time during the year and maybe stays a summer or so working on a full-time basis during the summer, they might have the enough time once they're in their last year. Maybe not enough to apply for permanent residency their second year, but definitely once they're getting like closer to the graduation date. And on that note, we have a lot of on-campus employment for students. So students are able to participate in our different employment programs. Kaylee and I have interns, for example, who work in our office. So there's a lot of different jobs around campus. And the city of Fredericton is also quite friendly for students who are looking for a job. So that is also something that they can do on a part-time basis while they're studying.
Right, Kamala, thank you so much. And here, I believe we are able to answer all the questions from our audience. So before we wind up, would you guys like to say something to our attendees?
Sure, I'll just jump in here, and I just saw a note. Someone asked about the Atlantic Pilot Program. That's going extremely well. So it is assumed that it will continue, but again, just a wait and see. That's something out of our hands. I'll just say thank you all so much for tuning in to learn more about St. Thomas. We really are a hidden gem of a university, and it's a school that obviously Camila and I both love dearly. We chose to come here from our countries, and we loved it so much that we now work here. We've immigrated to New Brunswick, and New Brunswick is just such a safe and wonderful place to live. The quality of life is amazing here. We actually have the 5th bluest skies in Canada year round. So even in the winter when it's cold and it's snowy, there's usually a blue sky. So at least there's just a lot of trees and nature and beauty that is here. So it really allows you to kind of live a peaceful life while also taking advantage of New Brunswick's great location in terms of connecting to the United States, connecting around Canada, and then connecting over to Europe. So it makes it easier for our students to kind of get home and explore new areas. But yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about STU, as we call it. And we're always here for any further questions. I'll turn it to Camila.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I hope you found this information useful and helpful and informative. You have great people with Niraj and Karishma and everyone at MSM, so definitely message them. They'll give you all of the information and the steps for you to be able to send your students to St. Thomas, or even just learn a little bit more about us. And I want to just agree with everything Kaylee said. I came to St. Thomas from a pretty big city, and Fredericton is a smaller place, St. Thomas is a smaller community, and I absolutely loved it. It was exactly what I needed when I was moving away from home for the first time and I didn't have my parents with me. It's an extremely welcoming community. It's a beautiful place to live in, very safe, very dynamic. There's a lot of things to do. And the university is absolutely amazing. The professors are very dedicated, and your students will get a really high quality of education with global opportunities, but in a setting where they will be able to talk to their mentors and talk to their peers, and they will be more than just a student number. And I really cannot emphasize enough how valuable that type of education is. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'd be happy to chat at any point. And yeah, we hope you have a great day or morning, depending on where in the world you are right now.
Right. Thank you so much. And I would also like to thank all the participants who have participated in this exclusive MSM and STU launch event. We really appreciate that you have been here, and we really hope that the session was helpful and informative enough for everyone. If still you would be having any question, please do not hesitate to get in touch with our team members, Neeraj Malik, who is a marketing manager, and Dhrumi, who is the admission support executive. The details are already mentioned in the chat box. I hope you got it. Until the next one, please take care and stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you so much.